Hello, welcome to a new video. Today I'm back to calling myself out. So 2 weeks ago I think it was now, I posted a video, completed book series that I need to complete. And at the end of that video I said this. That was all the completed series that I have not yet completed. Gonna be completely honest, I have probably missed some, but we're not going to talk about that. We're going to ignore that. Apparently I was right. Apparently I forgot a whole load of series, so I thought I would just make this a part 2 to that video. If they had only been a couple I wouldn't have, but there is literally 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. There's 18. And actually there might be 19. I can't remember if there was... If I put the Polar Bear Explorers Club in the last video, then there's 18. But if I didn't, there's 19. Because I've got that series as well. I've only read the first book so far. And there's 3 in that trilogy. Anyway. I'm just gonna go because I don't want to dwell on this, to be honest, because I made a boo-boo, but it's fine. So the first one on this part 2 video is Return of the King by J.R.R. Tolkien. I have read The Hobbit, I have read Fellowship of the Ring, and I have read The Two Towers, but I have not yet read this. I actually was going to DNF the series because I wasn't enjoying the audiobook and I don't want to read it physically. But Andy Serkis now does the audiobooks for the actual Lord of the Rings trilogy. Previously he only did it for the Hobbit, and that was incredible. So I am actually going to finish this series now with the audiobook done by Andy Serkis. So yeah. Then we have Servant of the Crown by Duncan M. Hamilton. The first book is called The Dragon Slayer, and the second book, The Knight of the Silver Circle. I'm going to put the other 2 books up here because I can't actually remember the names of them and I didn't think to write it down. This is the 3rd book in the trilogy. I did really enjoy the first 2 books. I don't own them anymore because they're not a series I would reread, but I would quite like to see how the series finishes. But I'm not in any rush for it, but I would still like to finish it. Then we have The Unconquered City by K.A. Dorr. Again, I can't remember the names of the first 2 books. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I'm going to put the first 2 books here as well. Again, it's another series I don't own physically. I was gifted the arc of the first book by the author. No, I won it in a giveaway. I read it, really enjoyed it, and then I think I got on the arc of the second one. And I would quite like to read the 3rd one. But again, I'm not in any rush for this one, but I would like to see how the series finishes. And I'm pretty sure this was only a trilogy. I hope so. Then we have Linger Forever and Sinner by Maggie Stiefvater. I read Shiver a few years ago. I borrowed my friend Charlie's copy and I really enjoyed it, and this is definitely one that I want to finish. I wasn't gonna buy them physically because I hated the cover redesigns. They were horrible, but they have since come up with a new cover redesign and I actually quite like that, so I might get these physically, but I definitely do want to continue the series because I really enjoyed it. Okay, so now we move on to the ones I've actually got physically. So first up, we have the Magpie Society duology by Zoe Sugg and Amy McCulloch. I have read the Magpie Society. I just need to read Tea for Joy. This only come out in November, so I'm not that far behind on this one. But I really enjoyed the first book and I'm looking forward to seeing how it wraps up. Then we have the Simon Snow trilogy. I have read Carry On, I have read Wayward Son. I just need to read Any Way the Wind Blows. And I'm just gonna point out that I finally have matching editions. I'm so happy with this. But yeah, I'm really excited to finish this, but it's so chunky. I just haven't, I'm a bit intimidated by it, but I've heard that it's a really good series ender, so I'm gonna get to it. Next up is one, I'm pretty sure this is only a duology, but I'm not I can't find anything about a 3rd book, so I'm putting it on this list because I am pretty sure it is only a duology, and that is the Slayer series by Kirsten White. So I've read Slayer, but I still need to read Chosen. I liked this because it's a continuation of the Buffy TV show. This literally is 6 months after the final episode of Buffy, and it was good. It's not my favorite thing, but I think I'm just so I love Buffy so much that it just, I don't know, there was just something not hitting right. But I do want to finish this series because I did enjoy it, just not as much as I would have liked. Next we have the Brown Sisters trilogy. I know this is technically 3 standalones, but I don't think it is, because they do follow on for each other. It's 3 sisters, they link. So I have read Get a Life Chloe Brown and Take a Hint Dani Brown. I just need to read Act Your Age Eve Brown, but I've heard this is a lot of people's least favourite. But then again, I wasn't a massive fan of Dani. Chloe is currently my favourite, but I'm looking forward to seeing what I think of Eve. And the first 2 were really fun anyway, so I expect that from the 3rd as well. Next we have the Wicked Villain series by Katie Roberts. So I have read Desperate Measures. I currently only own books 2 and 3 as well, but there are 6 books in this series and I've only read the first one, but this is a very recent addition to my shelves. So I literally was gifted this in December. I read it in January, and then I was gifted these in January. So but there's 6 books and I am so invested in this, so yeah. Next we have the King of Scars duology by Leigh Bardugo. I have read King of Scars. I still need to read Rule of Wolves. I have been putting it off because I'm really intimidated by the ending. I heard some not great things, but I have just seen Neve from, you can find her on Instagram, Until the Next Star, or Until the Last Star. I'll link her Instagram in the description below. This is like one of her favourite series, and she was the one that pushed me to read King of Scars when I did, and she just 5-starred this. So I'm a bit more anticipating it now. I'm not as daunted by it, so hopefully it means I get to it soon. Then we have another fairly new edition, and that's the Way of the Argosy duology by Sebastien de Castell. I've read Way of the Argosy. I do need to read Fall of the Argosy, but I love this series. I just don't want it to be over, which is the same reason I put off finishing Spellslinger for so long, because I just love Sebastien de Castell's writing in this series and these characters, that I'm just putting it off for that reason only. Next we have one that's been on my shelves for far too long, and that's the House of Night series by PC and Kristen Cast. So I have only read Marked. I've only read the first book. I own the first 7 in this series. I think there's either 12 or 15 books in this series. I've only read the first one, but I do want to actually continue and finish the series eventually, and I think there is a film or a TV show happening soon, so it's sort of like gonna hopefully speed it up a bit, because if I don't end up enjoying it, that's gonna clear up a lot of space on my shelves. But yeah, so this one. Then we have, do you know what? I don't actually know what this series is called, but the first book is The Edge of Everything by Jeff Giles, which I have read and I loved. The sequel is The Brink of Darkness, and I have not yet read this. I've been putting it off and I don't actually know why, but I want to get to it soon-ish because I want to see how the duology ends, because I absolutely adored this one. Next we have the Train to Impossible Places series by PG Bell. I have read the first book. I have read the second one, which is The Great Brain Robbery. I just need to read Delivery to the Lost City. I did only discover this series last year and read the first 2 books last year. So the fact that I only have 1 more book left is pretty good, and I only got this one for Christmas. So hopefully I will get this one read this year because it is a really good series. It's really fun middle grade, and I am so invested in it. Next we have another one that I'm not actually sure if it's more than a duology, but I can't find any information about a 3rd book, and I'm just going to put this on this list because I think it is only a duology, and that's the Incendiary series, which I think is actually called the Hollow Crown series by Zoraida Cordova. I have read Incendiary. I do still need to read Illusionary. I loved Incendiary. It was one of my favourite books the year I read it, and I do really want to get to this, and I don't know why I've been putting it off because it is actually pretty small. So there's another one. Then we have the Sea Witch series by Sarah Henning. So I have read Sea Witch. I still need to read Sea Witch Rising. I've owned these books for quite a long time, and I only read Sea Witch last year, so it's not too bad. I've not been putting off the sequel for too long. It wasn't like my favourite book, and it's not a series I think I'll reread, which is shame, a big shame. But I do want to read the sequel and see how it continues, especially with how the first one ended. So I'm hoping to get to this one fairly soon so that I can see how it ends. Then we have the Rebel of the Sands trilogy by Alwyn Hamilton. I have read Rebel of the Sands and Traitor to the Throne. I just need to read Hero of the Fall, and I'm going to be completely honest, the only reason I've put this off for so long is because I know how much it's going to hurt. My friend Tessa doesn't often like sob at books, but she read this at my house and was sobbing. So just see why I'm really scared to read it, because I cry at books. So if she, who doesn't cry at books, sobbed at this, I'm gonna have like a breakdown. But I've really enjoyed what I've read of this series so far, and I want to see how it ends, but I'm just scared. I am scared. And then the final one on this list, and I do think this is the final one this time. I'm again probably wrong, but we're gonna go with it. This is, I think this is the final one. And that's the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series by Holly Jackson. So I've read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, I've read Good Girl Bad Blood. I just need to read As Good as Dead. Now, I originally was going to read it last year because me and Liv buddy read the second book, and it was such a fun time buddy reading that we want to buddy read the third book. But we've been struggling to try and fit it in where we can. What with all the read-alongs and book clubs that we're both doing, it's really hard to try and fit it in. It may be a case of we don't get to buddy read it. I'm not sure yet, but I am really looking forward to seeing how the series wrapped up. I've seen very mixed reviews on it, so I'm a little bit scared now because I really loved the first two books and I really want to love this one. But we'll see if I do. Fingers crossed I do. Let's hope. Right, this time I do think that's it. I wasn't sure whether to add the Old Kingdom series onto this by Garth Nix, because it was pretty much a completed series, and then he just released Tercio and Eleanor, which is another prequel part of the series. So I don't actually know if there are going to be any more books in it. So just to be on the safe side, I'm not going to add the Old Kingdom series, but to be fair, I am getting through that one pretty quickly. I've read the first 3 books and I am reading the 4th book this month, and then there's 2 more on my shelves, so I'm really enjoying that series. And I thought I would just mention it because I'm not sure if it is technically a finished series or not, but I think the main trilogy is obviously a trilogy. Like the first 3 are like a trilogy, and I have actually completed that one, so I don't know if it would belong on this video or not, so I'm just going to leave it, but I thought I'd give it a little bit of a honourable mention. But having said that, that is all of them. I hope I start too many series, I'm aware of this, I don't finish them, but I'm hoping to get through some of these series this year. Whether I do or not is another matter, and I'm not going to like necessarily come back to this video in a year or whatever, because these aren't necessarily ones that I want to get read this year, because I don't know if that would be possible. I would like have to not read anything else, which that's not going to happen, is it? No. But I would like to finish some of these series this year, so I might come back in a year and see which ones I managed to finish and which ones I didn't, and maybe call myself out a little bit more when it comes back that I've read like 2 of them. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I hope this video does not have a part 3. Bye.